Hello. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I am happy to be here with you all. And I just was able to have some time to say goodbye to my sister who was visiting for the holidays. So I'm glad to be here now. I have a lot of things I know that wanted to share with everyone today, and so I'm gonna jump right in. First, I wanted to do a video year in review. I had originally planned on trying to put together a print piece, but this feels good to get out, and it's something really that folks can expect to see, and that I'll share these years in review, a reflection like this for each year that I'm in office. I want to share progress toward shared goals, as well as to make visible some of the more invisible areas of elected office. It's also part of the process for goal setting, which is the first stage of the budgeting process. So I will be posting that up as well, and trying to get feedback on the goals that I've put forward. So when trying to think about what all the work has been across the year, it was actually a pretty daunting process to try to think about everything. So this is by no means a complete list. It's just a few highlights. So one thing that I wanted to start with is really one of the main areas that I focused on this year, across my first year, which is around thinking about ways to increase resident participation and openness and transparency for the community. So one way to measure this for me is really looking at the number, thinking about the different resolutions that community members help to research and author, as well as different presentations that people were able to do during council meetings to share information with the general public, as well as with city council specifically. And so some examples of resolutions were No Mo May, the rent control preemption resolution that we sent to our state colleagues, a ceasefire resolution, as well as a resolution that will be coming forward actually at our next council meeting around plant medicine decriminalization. There also were presentations by Decriminalize Nature Michigan, a presentation by Care Based Safety, presentations by Fed Up, as well as a presentation around the Corsi Rosenthal boxes to help with COVID safety. So I'm really proud of being able to open up those space for people in that way, and to be working in collaboration with folks to really address, really large community issues. Also, to be able to connect with residents and community members on solution-focused initiatives. And so that included some folks that I was able to work alongside and to start imagining and thinking about what it would take to put together neighborhood, community, and care hubs. Working with folks on a federal grant for resiliency hubs. Co-hosting a solutionary circle to try to address the needs that came up over the summer downtown that really showed systemic needs that need a really deep solutions, multiple faceted solutions to, and we wanted to come together with a harm reduction focus, and we were able to pull folks together for that and have a number of things that have come forward for that, which has included some of those presentations that I mentioned earlier. Also, things like some questions and concerns about Water Street that have come forward from residents, and so trying to help to get that on a larger platform for us to really explore. Also, ward hosting different ways to share information. So we've been having ward gatherings throughout the year, which have included opportunities for ward residents themselves to build relationships, because we really know that, to be a healthy, thriving community, it's really for us to be connected out at a relational level across the board. And so those have been opportunities for that. I've been doing live threads during our meetings so that people can see not only the votes that we make, but also to have a little bit more understanding about the discussion that's going into the decisions as well, and as well to hear about what's happening that's not necessarily something we vote on. I've been spending a lot of time with phone calls with folks, both for things like when folks have seen like RL trucks going down Prospect and saying this shouldn't be happening. So following up on those kinds of resident calls, as well as calls I get from renters who reach out to me about concerns that they have with their landlord and things of that sort. And so just being accessible by phone to people, also doing one-on-ones with folks. I love doing one-on-ones. And so I've had the chance to do that, which has helped me to hear from folks about concerns they have with in terms of police interactions that they've been a part of or have witnessed, as well as people sharing ideas that they have about things like housing, which has been really interesting for me, as well as just general desires to get involved. So it's been a great way to meet with newer residents as well, who are just trying to get the lay of the land and to understand what kinds of things we've been doing on council or ways that they can get involved in the community. And so it's been wonderful to be able to connect people because of just having some of those connections and resources and starting to see people kind of being in those spaces. So that's been really great for me. And also I attend interest group meetings or events or and get things on the calendar. So this includes things like the Depot Town Merchants meeting, which I was invited to. There's a group that's coming together around thinking about like funding and business interests for thriving downtown. So I've been participating in those meetings, as well as trying to go to different commission meetings, such as the Non-Motorized Commission, as well as the Historic District Commission meeting, and things of that sort. And then also going to events like ones to learn about rain gardens, which a resident of our in Ward 3 was really involved with, and thinking about what we can learn and ways we can connect with resources at the county level to help mitigate for things like floods, as an example. So it's been really great just as a way of getting a sense of the wide knowledge that we have and really the interest of people to get involved. So that has been an area that I've really enjoyed this past year. And see that there's been some progress that we've been able to make. Another area that I want to highlight is around affordable and safe housing. And so I will say that this area, while it is a key area for me that I put forward, a lack of staffing and leadership in our building department has definitely hampered work in this area. But that said, I was able to start collecting stories from residents about issues that they've been having, or and things that they would like to see and their different concerns with their living conditions. I've been able to start gathering some data from public sources, and have been able to start figuring out, in conversation with others, possible ways that we can get data that we don't already have, especially focused on the current state and quality of our rental market here in the city, and the city's enforcement of those, and what that looks like. I've been able to stay updated on projects that have gone through the Community Benefits Ordinance, and trying to do work to help support their success. I've been doing professional development, trainings, workshops around what is possible, and connecting with policy makers elsewhere in other parts of the country, because the way policy spreads is really by us connecting and learning what is happening in different localities that can be similar to ours, that we can try in different ways. And I also was able to, because of a resident complaint actually about a safety issue in her rental unit, where a fire alarm did not go off, was able to connect with our fire marshal to actually correct a landlord who falsely or incorrectly thought that it was the resident's responsibility to make sure that the fire alarms worked. And so that was something that I was able to also help to happen. The third area I'd like to focus on is around community and pedestrian safety. And so I was able to share information with council and staff of the city around care-based safety, as well as the Washtenaw Equity Partnership report that came out. And these are two areas where I was a part of research and design teams for those projects. And so I was happy to be able to share those resources for wider knowledge sharing, and for us to think about what it would mean for us here in the city of Ypsilanti. I was able to meet with the director of the Department of Public Services, our interim city manager, and a member of the non-motorized committee to strategize ways forward on a community-focused study, and ways that we can improve our pedestrian and cycling safety, and really to think about how do we better design, and how do we better bring these things into our plans as we redo our roads, and think about what is necessary in terms of the kinds of conversations we need to have with MDOT and others as we move forward. I also remain committed to learning how to do this job the best way I can, which just goes into some of the different kinds of training opportunities I've been able to take advantage of. So one is I've been doing a number of trainings with the Michigan Municipal League on things like budgeting, Open Meetings Act, FOIA, city staff relationships, legislative actions and opportunities, and more. I've also participated this year in a municipalism cohort through the Solidarity Research Center to really think about how we can do this differently, and how really the role that we can play at the municipal level and the partnership with the community. And then I've also done a number of issue-based trainings around things like social housing, learning about the police unions, and also different kinds of community safety models. And then as I mentioned, that we're starting the goal setting process. And so I'm going to post a few things I know in the chat after the live, and that I'll make accessible on my page. But just so folks know that there are goals that we have put forward, our goals, will be having our first goal setting session next week. And so I would love to hear feedback on what I've put forward. You'll notice there's some things that are really continuations of my goals from my first year, and also maybe slight shifts to kind of focus on things that feel like the next step, as well as a few things that are additional that came up over the year. All right, so that's kind of my general quick year in review of things that I have been up to this year. And I would love to hear any questions. Folks can email dsimmons@cityofypsilanti.com. You can email to ask questions or to request a meeting, and I'll be back in touch about availability or to answer questions. And then the second thing I wanted to cover, which is kind of doing a little shift, I wanted to also use this time to address the recall or the threat of recall, or the recall process that I'm currently under, and really speak about it in terms of the larger issue that I think is important. And so I know I have shared, and I'll share more widely, a Google form where I really detailed out what I'll call like my informational, factual telling of the specific issues that have been brought forward as part of this process. And so I'll be sharing that form around for folks to kind of see my response in that way. What I imagine that this is, what I'll talk about today, is more of an analysis of macro patterns and really an emotional telling of what I think is happening. And so I think that these two things will actually help to give a fullness of my response to the recall. I've struggled with how much to really actually lean into this process or time to put in at this stage, because I really do need to focus on what's happening. In January, already we have 5 meetings on the calendar with the possibility of more. And so I am just really trying to manage some of that time for myself. And also, as a note, that we will have a delay in our ward meeting because of all of these other commitments for council. But I want, for those who chose me for who I am, and who know what is possible when we're ready for opportunity, and who want a representative who is focused on lifting all boats, especially those that have been left behind. I want you to know that I am here and that I am fighting for you. I don't want my lack of visibility on this issue to come across as dispassion. It's really quite the opposite. And so I really just want to share a few things that have been on my mind about this. One, and really I think most importantly for me, is that I know that this issue isn't really about me. Even though, I'm on this petition and there are specific things being put forward about me, most of which is completely untrue, and some of which is a point of perspective, an opinion. I know that really it's not because of me personally, but really because of what I represent in this space, that really brings this kind of attention forward. I will not apologize for being passionate about my work and for bringing my full self into all I do, which means that I bring my full sense of analysis of issues and my understanding of larger history and patterns into this work as well. And so I think that that's really the lens I want to bring forward too. I also want to note that I only put myself forward into electoral politics because I have been asked by community members to do so. And I always knew that it would be hard to be in this position because I am a disruption to the status quo. And I've always said, as people ask me, how it is to be a person with my kind of, ideology and beliefs and vision for the future, to be in a space like a local government space. And I always say that it's an experiment. And I say that because we don't know, there's not enough evidence really of what this looks like, because so many people who similarly are focused on justice and equity don't find themselves being in local government or government at all. And it's a population that's growing because it is so difficult to push against the status quo. And I am lucky enough that I have, because of my different life experiences that have gotten me to this point, as well as because of my personal network, that I actually feel prepared for this moment, and that I've been able to really protect my peace during this whole process. And I also want to say that I don't think this is really about the recallers either, right? I really do think, as I go into these things, I do believe that the folks leading this recall effort are expressing their true personal interests and feel that I'm at odds with those interests. And also, I believe that they may not be aware of the bigger picture that I'm going to be laying out, and that they may not personally be thinking about themselves as being perpetrators of a status quo. But I'm here to just name it as a pattern, because I don't believe that things happen in a vacuum. And I don't believe that that it's really personal. I really do believe that it is more of a function of a process. So as I said, I think that this is more about what I represent, and I think that the reason of why this recall is being put forward and that people feel a sense of immediacy to removing me from office is because of fear. I really think it's because of fear that that as I learn more and as I grow in this space, that I'll be able to actually help do what people have put me in this space to do. I cannot be controlled. It's probably one of the worst things to say as a politician, but I cannot be controlled, and that is a problem. I'm here to do the hard work that people elected me to do, and I am really focused on those areas. I'm a hard worker, and that is a problem. I have been successful in many of my efforts in terms of thinking about organizing folks, in terms of thinking about getting resources to do research and data collection when necessary, and in terms of thinking about narrative work to be able to share that information. I have been successful. I'm continuing to grow because I am a fast learner. I am smart, and that is a problem. I ask questions, and I don't accept information without evidence. And I am able to come to my own conclusions based on multiple layers of perspective. And so that is an issue because I don't just go along to get along, and I don't really accept just surface layer responses to things. And then one other thing is that people like me, and that is a problem. You know, I've never been considered popular. I've been saying, like, I've waited to my 40s to finally have the universe tell me I'm popular. But I know it's not so much about being popular as being a person that people can connect to, that people feel comfortable asking questions, and being a person that's been able to reflect back for folks what they've been saying all along. And I really I know that this is a challenge, because even though at the same time that more and more people are finding alignment with things that I talk about, there also are a number of people who don't like me, and who I have to be in space with, where they get to constantly pretend that I do not exist. And there's this moment the other day I went to see The Color Purple, and there was this line that she said, and it's been sticking with me because I feel it right in this moment, which is, she said, "But I'm still here." And I feel that. So even though people try to make me feel unwelcome in this space, I know that I'm still here. The government doesn't have to be so corrupted a space that it only serves to concentrate power within those who already have social and economic power. And that doesn't mean that we have to be against those with resources. In fact, we need to act together to resolve the issues that our community faces. But it does mean listening to new voices and centering other interests, at least some of the time. And to recognize that institutional and systematic issues require focus and long-term strategy in order to address these needs. So that is what I am committed to. I am committed to trying to do what we need to do today so that we can better address long-term needs. That doesn't mean that I ignore all of what, we need to do in the city, but it does mean that I work and look to work with my team members on council so that we can make sure that we are fully addressing what is necessary in this very extremely part-time role. So people have asked what they can do to help. So I'll put forward that folks can share these different info pieces to help. So you can share the Google form, which will be posted. You can share this video, which will also be posted and shared outside of Facebook. And share those pieces with your neighbors. Let folks know why you support me, and share the information so that they can come to their own conclusions as well. 2, you can join a group of folks to pass out this information to folks door to door. So we'll have a page with links for people. And so if you're interested, you can just reach me. You can message me on Messenger, or look for call outs for volunteers. And we'll be starting to do that very soon. And then 3rd, I'll say to just keep sending your messages of solidarity and love, because it really does matter. I know that I am strong enough to take the onslaught of the status quo as long as I know the people are with me in alignment with collective liberation, co-governance, and really understanding the government's role in building democracy and being responsive to the needs of our community with a wider perspective and a focus on justice and equity. And so that's what I'm here for. That's who I'm here for. And I know that we can together actually stop this from going to a recall election. And I also know that we can come forward again if we need to in May. So keep folks updated on what the goings on are as we go through this process. And I hope that you choose to keep me as your representative, because I do care deeply about what is happening here. And I do feel that I have the experience, the strength, and the resources to help us to get where we need to be so that we can all have the fruits of all the amazing things that are happening in the city of Ypsilanti. I believe that we all deserve more, deserve better, and that there is a role that we can play in government to help make sure that we are all experiencing what it means and what it feels like to have a thriving within our community for all. So thank you, and I hope to see you around, out and about. Again, you can feel free to reach out to me via Facebook or my city email, and I look forward to seeing you. Goodbye.